Thank you very much. I am very, very fortunate to have you.
I wish him the best in all his future endeavors.
Again, just thank you. I am deeply grateful.
Nobody can deny.
I'd like to introduce my daughter. So if there's any couple of questions, I'll try to do my best to answer them.
Congressman, what was the toughest campaign
Pardon me?
What was your toughest campaign? Which was the hardest one for you, the one you thought you might not win?
My toughest campaign?
Yeah, it's the one election night you went to bed worried.
Well, it's interesting, you know, because here in this campaign, I've had two people engage in 5 campaigns. One involved in 3, and another involved in the last 2. So that has been a fascinating experience. And it was just very interesting to me how somebody who was engaged in this, and regardless of what the outcome of it was for them, they were going to continue to be engaged again and again, be engaged again. It was always very interesting, and it was it was kind of, you know, easy for them to get it because there weren't very many other people who were interested in running at the time. In any case, it's been fascinating. It's always been, you know, the congressional operation here has always been fascinating, and it's always been a challenge, you know, to make sure that you understood everything, that you knew what was going on, and that you understood what the people understood, and what they wanted, what improvements they were interested in and trying to get. All of these things, you know, it's part of the operation here. You know, that's part of the situation to make things better, to make life better, stronger, more essential, more careful, more safety, all of those things. And you know, it's been a good challenge, and frankly, I've enjoyed doing it. It's really good, very good.
On the topic.
I'm sorry?
On the topic of redistricting, as you know from your time in Albany and in Congress, oftentimes when a member retires, his district gets divided up when they have to reduce the number as they do in New York. Is it your expectation, or do you think it's more likely now that this district is going to be hacked up because of your retirement?
You know, I don't really know. It's going to be a challenge because if this district were maintained, it would have to expand in a lot of ways. You know, not terribly, but in some ways. Otherwise, there are a lot of other people in this state of New York, for many reasons, who are interested in just having this whole thing changed in different ways. So we'll see what happens. It's going to happen. This is something that's going to be regulated by the government of the state of New York, by the governor and by the members in the Congress.
Was that a factor at all in your decision?
Pardon me?
Was it a factor at all in your decision of the?
No, it wasn't really. That wasn't a factor in my decision. Frankly, as I said, when I was elected here, I never thought I'd be here for 20 years. And there were, last time, 2 years ago, and 2 years before that, I said to myself, what are you doing? Maybe you're staying around here too long. Maybe somebody else ought to get a chance to come in here and do this. So, you know, but nevertheless, the challenge of this was so effective that I just couldn't move out. I stayed with it to do the kinds of things that I tried to do. And by the way, in there for 20 years, 6 years in the majority, 14 years in the minority. And that's one of the reasons why I stayed, because of the minority, trying to get back into the majority. Nevertheless, it's a fascinating set of circumstances. And, you know, we all do whatever we can to be better and stronger and effective, and that's what I was trying to do in my own ways.
When did you come to a decision in your own mind that you weren't going to be seeking another term? When did you make that decision for yourself?
Well, I made the decision. I've been making this decision over a long period of time. And when it became 20 years, you know, and I had spent 18 years in Albany, I said to myself, well, this is very clear, you know, this is the end. You can't be here any more after this. 20 years is long enough. And of course, I'm getting to be at a certain age, you know, that, I mean, it hasn't affected me. I mean, I'm still, I think anyway, I'm just as good as effective. But nevertheless, it's happening, and I thought it would be interesting to make the change. So, yes, sir.
Do you have any parting words for the Congress you're leaving, for it to function better in the future?
Holy God, yeah. Wow. The whole situation that is being engaged in down there is not being done effectively, strongly, and with the right objections to make the quality of this country better, particularly the quality of life and the quality of jobs, the number of jobs, the number of speculation, the number of people who are working hard, making life better for more and more people. There's not enough has been done, and frankly, this is something that was done as a result of the last election that came up, and there was a whole new change in negative aspects of stimulating the economy, generating new jobs, making life better, stronger, more effective for more people. And the president, you know, had to, he felt he had to go along with it. And he did a certain amount of works on that operation. Now he's not doing that anymore. He's not doing that anymore. There's now a much more understanding, a clear understanding of the need to generate this economy, make this economic circumstances much better. Don't just have a situation in America where you have most of the money in the 1%, most of the money in 1% of the population, whereas a majority of the people should have a decent amount of income. And that's got to be done. It's got to be done. You can't just continue what has been going now for unfortunately some time, bringing more and more wealth into the hands of the wealthiest people in the country. That is a very bad thing. It's got to be straightened out. And I hope that there will be enough people here that will wise up to that and will be strong enough to do it.
Sorry, I have a question. There's been talk in Binghamton about who maybe would run for your spot. Donald Lombardo, Binghamton Mayor Matt Ryan, a couple names have been thrown out. Do you have a thought on any of those people or anything?
Well, I like both of those people. I like them both very, very much. And I would be happy if they would be interested in running. And I will do whatever I can to help them, to work with them, to engage in whatever I can do to be useful and helpful in the process.
Is that an endorsement?
Pardon me?
Is that an endorsement?
No. I don't know, you know, I'm not endorsing anybody at the moment because I don't know who to endorse, but there are a number of good people who are interested in running. And I would like to see that. I would encourage them to explore it and to make a determination as to whether or not this would be the right thing for them to do. Yes?
Can you comment on your wife's DWI?
Pardon me? ma'am.
How have you managed to stay true to your ideals? I think you're so unique that way.
Stay true to my ideals.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Congress, when so many seem so corruptible.
Yes. Well, that's, I've noticed that too. Well, you know, this is one of the most important things to do in life. As part of your experience, part of your education, part of the things that you have learned and see, not for yourself, but for the general public, these are the things that you should be doing. You should be trying to make life better for more people. Make life better for your family, make life better for your friends and close and everything, but everybody else as much as possible. Make life better for as many people as possible. That's what I try to do. It's my objective.
Yes.
I spend a lot of time and a lot of effort, a lot of energy and focused on that objective.
Congressman, can you look ahead, Congressman, can you look ahead over the next year as far
Pardon,
as?
pardon me?
Can you look ahead over the next year as far as maybe one or two main things that you would like to see accomplished in your last year?
I'm not sure I know what you're saying. What-
In the next, what you would accomplish in the next year.
Yeah, there are
things.
two main priorities that you have, they can help people in the 22nd district that you would like to see put in place.
For the rest of the term, what do you want to do?
For the rest of the term.
Yeah.
For the rest of the term, I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna focus on it as much as possible. I thank you very much for mentioning that. This is something that I've got to do and something that I can do and something that I can do effectively. And I think that the whole situation down there in Washington is beginning to change. The people down there, including those who became the substantial parts of the majority with this last election, some of them are now wising up. They're beginning to understand what the real situation should be and what they would really do and what they should do. What they should do, not just for themselves, not just for the wealthiest people in this country, but for the Americans, for across the board, for the general people. Make life better. And that's something that needs to be done.
What are you going to miss most?
Pardon?
What are you going to miss the most?
What am I going to miss the most? Oh, God, so many things. Well, I'm going to miss the opportunity to serve other people and to listen to their objective, listen to their ambition, listen to the kinds of things that they would like to do, and try to do my best to move in those directions. Those are the things that I'm going to be missing, to try to, it's something that I've tried to do, try to expand the abilities of more and more people.
Is it hard for you to walk away when Washington is in such a hard time right now?
Hard to walk out of Washington? Washington is a fascinating place, you know. I mean, it's indeed deeply, deeply fascinating, deeply, deeply interesting. In this particular operation, though, you know, and the work that you do, you don't really do anything else other than your work in your office, and then over where you do the votes and where you do the arguments and where you do the debates and all of that stuff, you know, back and forth. You can think about all the nice things that are out there, all the generous things that are out there, all the fascinating activities that are out there, but there's very little time to be, you know, engaged in those things. So, as a matter of fact, now that you mentioned this, maybe this is something that I'm going to start doing a little bit down there. See a little bit more of what is down in Washington. It's a fascinating place, no question about it.
Have you considered writing a book?
I'm sorry?
Have you considered writing a book?
Well,
about your
I've considered
experiences?
writing it. I wonder if I have the ability to do it, you know, if I have the ability to do it. We'll see. It's a nice thing to do. It's a very good thing to do. I may have the time and I may be able to do it. We'll see.
So what happens to, I'm sorry, with Congressman Frank leaving, with you leaving,
I'm sorry?
does the progressive wing of the Democratic Party in Congress get weaker with your departure? Or are the people you feel like will remain strong, a force in Washington?
Get weaker with my loss?
Yep.
Uh,
And Congressman Frank, who's leaving at the end of his term as well.
Congressman Frank is leaving, yeah, that's right. Well, you know, I think that there's an awful lot of other people out there. A lot of people out there who are strong and capable, insightful, intelligent, and who are determined to do the right things for the people that they represent. I hope that there are an awful lot like that. I hope so. There should be a great many of them. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in that regard. Let's hope that there are a lot of people like that who are going to do the right thing and do it effectively.
Thanks.
Wow, thank you very, very much. I'm deeply, deeply grateful to you, and I'm very deeply in love with you. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so very much.